You're the star of the show, though, tonight, you see.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, me and Emma listen to your podcast all the time. So, I listen to it on my drive to work, which is like an hour and 20 minutes there and back. So, it gives me plenty to keep me going. And it was actually Emma who told me about your podcast. So,
well, there we go.
I know. So, firstly, tell us a bit about yourself for everybody else, because I think most people know who you are, but
not many people know who I am. So I'm Nikki Druce. I am podcaster, historian, writer, all of that kind of fun stuff. Hobby historian. I always have to add the hobby at the beginning because I'm not an official one. But I've been podcasting since 2017, where I started Macabre London, which is my absolute baby, and I love it. It's so fun. And then in more recent years, but those years are flying past now, in 2022, I started Killers, Cults and Queens with my friend Cheryl. Now my friend Cheryl. At the time we were strangers when we first started, I must admit. And it's all turned out to be pretty good. So that's kind of what I do. I release videos on YouTube as well, all part of the same thing, and just a lot of spooky history content.
and they do really well though, don't they? Because you've had like over 1 million downloads, which is huge.
Yeah, we actually found out the other day. We went out for dinner with our old producer, and we found out that actually it's probably more like 2.5 million downloads now, because we moved between a couple of different podcast hosts, and we lost some of the data and things. And so, it looks like it's about 200. Well, no, 200. My brain. About 2.5 million now. So, it's creeping up there. It's definitely creeping up there. And Macabre London is done over 1 million now as well. So, after all that time, those numbers start adding up.
Must have blown your mind when you found that out, though.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those things where I started off and I remember being really excited by having like 1 or 2 listeners. And I was like, people are listening to what I'm making, that's so fun. And then, it started picking up. Kind of, I think lockdown was when it really started picking up.
That's when I discovered your lockdown.
Yeah, I think because people were really sort of tapping into their own interests at home. And so a lot of people were kind of getting more into the spooky side of things. And just trying to find distractions from like the daily horrors that were happening. And I think ghost stories are great for that kind of thing. So that's how people sort of started finding me. And then ever since then, it's been a slow climb. I hit 4,000 followers on Instagram today.
Wow.
After being on there since 2017. So it's not a fast growth, that's for sure. But Spotify is where it's at, because that's where I've got the most amount of followers.
So, which episode of your podcast has been the most fascinating for you to kind of research?
Well, I really like anything that is like hugely underrepresented. So for me, it's all the stories that haven't been told before. So, for example, with Macabre London, there's been a couple of stories that I've covered, one of which I've never found anybody else cover because they won't have found it because it was a tiny little stub in a newspaper article. And quite often looking through like the newspaper archive and that kind of thing. And I was looking through one evening and I was searching with like the keyword murder, as you do, because it pulls up some decent stories. And I found this really interesting murder case, and I'm really terrible with names. I can never remember the name of the woman that it happened to, but it ended up being her. What was it? Her nephew was living with her, and he basically said, "Oh, she's gone on holiday. She's run off with this other guy." And she just disappeared, and so everybody was like, suspicious. She's lived in this house. Hey, people sending us things. I don't know.
Yeah, keep going. No idea what that was. Yeah.
Thank you, people sending us things. And so she disappeared off, and he was like, "Oh yeah, no, she's going to holiday with this guy. They just start going out with each other. I don't know what's happening to her. I think she's run off. So she disappears. And then a little note comes through the door saying, oh yeah, no, I have disappeared. I've gone on holiday with this guy. I'm never coming back again. And then it was a boarding house that she was running, and her tenants started to get like concerned because she was not that type of person. She didn't disappear off. And then they found that her bedroom door was locked. And they were like, that's suspicious. She never used to lock her room either. And so they broke down the door and they found her inside. And I won't say what state she was in, but she was not all together. So there's different bits missing. It turns out that this nephew had basically said that she'd gone on holiday and he'd done the job and left her upstairs in this room and just locked the door. And it was, I hadn't found anybody cover this case before, and it was so gruesome and so nasty, and I just didn't understand why. And I think it's just because, you know, she was an older woman, and I think people just didn't really care about the story that much. They thought, oh, it's a family affair, you know, something that he's decided to off this woman just because they didn't get on with each other, you know, family problems. And I just didn't see it covered anywhere. So that's been one that I really delved into. I went to the National Archive, looked at the police records, pulled them all out, found handwritten letters by him to his mum, who was living abroad at the time, and she was like justifying that he would never do anything like this, all of that stuff. But he was guilty, really guilty, and it was very obvious, and there was evidence everywhere to prove that he was. And he ended up being executed for it in the end. Rightly so, really, because, you know, he was a nasty piece of work. He tried to lie about it, and just not good. But yeah, I was really pleased that I found that story, because nobody's told her story for all these years. And, you know, this is going back to the late 1800s, and nobody had said anything about it. So the fact that I could say, hey, this really gruesome, awful thing happened, and this woman shouldn't be forgotten, which ironically I've forgotten her name. There is a podcast, so you can find it. That was good. There's another one as well whose name I can remember, Emily Armstrong, and she was murdered, I believe, just in the 60s, I think, and she was in North London, and she ran a little laundrette, and one day she had a queue of customers outside, and they were waiting for her to come back from lunch, and she never came back from lunch, and that's because she was lying dead behind the counter, and that's because somebody had come in, stolen them over, decided to offer. And again, similar thing, because she was an older lady. Police kind of didn't really look into it, didn't really care too much about it. And they were like, oh, well, it is the lay of the land, as how things go. And it's like, well, no, it's not actually. And then when I looked into that one, I found several other different murders that had happened in the area. So I wonder if there was actually a serial killer in that area. And they ended up getting caught for something else, which is can happen with serial killers, is that they do a lot of other little petty crimes because they're getting away with such big crimes. They do little crimes that they then get caught for. So so I ended up linking this other case to that case, and I still to this day I think those two cases are linked, but nobody's ever been able to actually link them in the police force. It's not something that I've brought to the attention of the police, but yeah, I feel like it would be interesting to do.
Your
those are the two that stand out for me.
Your audio keeps cutting out a little bit.
Oh no!
Only slightly.
I wonder if that laundrette's still there then. Is it still there?
I don't know if it is.
If it was 60s. Do you think that'd be good, wouldn't it, to go investigate there in a nice way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you've obviously shared the story that nobody would have probably heard. You know what I mean? you must be researching and everything for hours and days.
Well, luckily I love it. So that's the thing. If you know, if something like this, I think sometimes people get into and they think, oh, I'll do true crime, or I'll do, you know, ghost stories or history or that kind of thing, and it is really hard. It takes a long time to research everything and to do it properly, and I really pride myself on being able to do research thoroughly, and to know the cases inside out and back to front before I even get to in front of the microphone to present them. And so, yeah, but it's really hard work. Really hard work.
Nice that you're sharing their story, isn't it? Because can you imagine how many times this probably happens and people don't, you know, find out what happened and the souls are gone and that, you know what I mean? It's nice that you find the detail a little bit more. It's good.
Yeah, I ended up having a tarot card reading with tarot card reader and also psychic medium. And she said, I think probably the nicest thing anybody's said to me about the show, and she was like, actually, those voices coming through that say that they're really thankful for you doing this and keeping the stories alive. So I was like, yeah, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. I think it's really great that you're able to share their stories completely.
I mean, the detail in your Jack the Ripper series just had me thinking completely differently about everything I've seen before. You know.
Yeah, that series. I'll let you in on a little secret with Jack the Ripper. It's not my favourite case. I find that it's been done to death, pardon the pun, because it's just, you know, it's something that everybody is fascinated with. I think the evidence at the time was so mishandled. I think there's a lot of people nowadays that want to throw themselves around onto that case and attach themselves to that case. To kind of get the clout from it, and that's not something that you know, Macabre London, it's taken from 2017 up until last year to even talk about Jack the Ripper, because I just didn't want to do it. I just didn't want to touch it. And if I wanted the show to have been like a massive hit out the gate, I probably should have started with Jack the Ripper. Because it would have really brought people in, because there was nobody really talking about it on podcasts at that time. You know, there was one show out there. And I remember trying to listen to that show, and I think that show, because it's still going, but their earlier episodes, and I know I also had a similar problem when I was first starting, that audio on it was so bad that I couldn't listen to it. And I really wanted to listen to it because I was interested in it. But yeah, they had some fascinating information and details on it, but it was just a real hard slog to get through. And nowadays, I can sort that out, so I think it's good. But yeah, I think it's a difficult one, because I don't want to just be telling the same thing. So when I came to Jack the Ripper and telling that story again, I wanted to make sure that it was done from a different angle, and that's why I picked the police investigation angle of it, and running it through my Crime and Punishment series, because I just wanted to frame it differently. I just didn't want to do the same thing again. You know, a lot of the time people go victims, that kind of stuff, and it's like, I'm just not into that. It's not
That's what's really good about it, though.
Oh, yeah, it's the social side of things. That's what I want to be telling, really.
Yeah, that's what was so good about it, though, the fact that it was done from a different angle and got you thinking about it in a totally different way. So I really enjoyed that one. Couldn't tell it wasn't your favourite, let's be honest. I thought you were really into it by the way you were talking about it. So well done you for pulling that off.
Well, I was into it from the perspective that I was talking about it. But yeah, if I just had to do a dry run on it and just do, you know, a recamping of the story, I don't think I would have liked it so much. But actually going behind the scenes and looking into the investigation and stuff did sort of liven it up a little bit for me.
Yeah.
I have an interesting fact actually about the Jack the Ripper thing. So the guy who set up the police, Peel, what's his name? Robert Peel?
Robert Peel, yeah.
Where my parents live, there's a park, a street, and a whole university building named after him because he's from down the road.
Ah, there you go.
And there's some in Bury as well as a monument as well, which is in the Manchester area. So your listeners often describe your ghost stories as atmospheric, and immersive. So what elements do you think make a really good ghost story?
I think it's good to have named characters is always really good. So if you have an actual story of something where a credible something has happened to somebody, and then somebody's turning up with an apparition, sort of years down the line, I think that's what kind of makes it credible, really, for me. And particularly if you've got people that don't know those stories, that are then saying, "Oh, I've seen this person and they're doing X, Y, Z," or they're up in that room, and that's the room that something bad happened with them to them in. And I think those sorts of things make it really credible. I think with ghost stories, it's fun to be a little bit spooky, but actually the historical side of things, I think, is sort of what creeps us out the most, because if people have seen something and they don't know the story, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, somebody's doing X, Y, Z," then that's the thing that makes it really spooky, isn't it? That's the thing that makes the hairs stand up. So I think anything like that, it's super spooky. So you will go out on investigations, don't you? So what's kind of your most sort of credible evidence that you found? Because I find it fascinating, because I've never been out on an investigation myself.
You need to come.
Yeah, we'd love to. It'd be so fun.
No, you are coming now. You've got to come.
We'll send you a t-shirt and everything.
Yeah, I'll be there.
I'm pretty direct. I'm from Yorkshire, so
Well, so's my husband. So.
Really, where's he from?
He's from just from York. So.
Oh, is he not far then? Yeah.
Right.
So it's a deal then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on. Are you doing it?
What?
Saying what? The most credible evidence.
Oh,
we've had.
the most credible evidence. We've had loads of things. We've had footsteps, but I think the freakiest one for us is still Stoke. So there's a place called the Haunted Museum and Spirit Shop in Stoke, and Zoe had gone home early. There was me, Sal, and Emma, and we were in this room they called the Asylum, and it's got like old artifacts from there was a doctor that did terrible things to women in this particular chair. And some other things.
Well, they're all genuine, like they're a body bag and lots
and
of.
all got like files and stuff, so it's actually like real stuff that has things happen. Actually, they've got a whole case for every single thing in that museum.
Yeah. So they've got full case files. It's really interesting. It's a really interesting place. They've got stuff from like Ed Gein's place and all sorts. Anyway, I was strapped in this chair, which had nasty things previously happen, and had the headphones on. It's a thing you call Estes.
Yes, I know. I'm aware of it.
So Emma started feeling ill, and
the guys had come up, weren't they? Because we said,
there you go, yeah.
Whatever is in that room tended to not like women, and of course we were 3 women. So me, being the chicken, kind of said to the guys that owned it, "I'm only going to go up there if you 2 come in with us." So they were there just, watching and asking questions, as well as me and Emma being sat there too, because that part of it is quite interesting.
So yeah, there was literally everybody who was in the building was in this one room. There was nobody else inside. So I'm sat in this chair doing Estes. Emma's not feeling well, and then she said something, and what came out of my mouth, because I say what I hear, was "Shut the F up." And at that point, there was 5 really loud bangs, and the last one shook the floor. And it was so bad that the 2 fellas thought that somebody was breaking in, and they ran to go and wrestle somebody or what they did. And then they got the CCTV up and they checked everywhere inside the building and outside, and there was nowhere or nothing at all.
Yeah.
But they pinned it to the room below us because that's where the sound was the loudest. And it was just, we were all pretty freaked out. And then same place, we had the REM pod go off. I don't know if you've seen one with like lantern and the lights.
Yeah.
And we were doing Estes again, and there was some stuff coming through, and Emma said, hate. So I said, "Well, who do you hate?" And she said, "You." And I went, "Me?" And then she went, "Both." And I was like, and we were like, okay. And then the REM pod for a solid, I'd say 4 minutes, started going off. And at the end, it just started screeching. And Emma had taken her headset off and we're all sat there going, it was, so I think that's probably our freakiest place. And before that, I was on the fence as to whether I believed or not. And after that, I was like, there's no other explanation.
The bangs as well, because like obviously you had the headphones on and me and Sal was just sat there, but like the bangs, it felt like it got closer and closer and closer to you. It was like really creepy. And the last one, it literally felt like it was like directly behind you, and I was like, nah.
No. So what do you do in situations then? So are you all pretty stoic? Are you all like, it's going to be fine? I kind of feel a bit like I feel like I'd like to run away at that point.
Yeah, well, we kind of did, to be fair. So Emma started saying, I don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like it. And we both stood up and kind of said, let's go. So we left the room for a second and went to get some fresh air, shall we say. And but we did actually go back in to do some more investigating. So Lara's the bravest.
They've put me in coffins and all sorts.
So yeah, Lara's the bravest, but even outside of that, we have generally good nights most of the time. However, we're not guaranteed to get anything, but I think we've got quite a bit of evidence now to show that there is something that's not explainable.
Our last one was very quiet, wasn't it?
Yeah, his last investigation on Friday were quiet compared to previous nights, but it is just what happens,
It's like fishing.
Yeah, but there's quite a few things that we've documented, haven't we? We've never like physically seen an apparition. We may never see an apparition, but there's certain things we've captured that, like voices and all sorts that you can't explain away really easily. So
you say it was on Friday. It was quiet.
Yeah.
Interestingly, it was the spring equinox, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's the bringing of the light sent away the dark.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, it was very quiet.
Because you'd been there before and had things happen, hadn't you? But Friday was not as we expected. But
this is why we're quite happy to share whatever we find. Sometimes we have a night with so much going on, and another night it's just quiet, nothing happens. But that is what paranormal investigating is about,
The thing is, we have a laugh at the same time.
Oh, we do. We sing, we dance.
So it's a good time to get together, have fun. We sing, we dance, we mess around, as well as sit in dark rooms talking to people.
Yeah, there's a place in London that I've always fancied doing an exploration in, and there's also one in Essex as well. There's two different places. One that's called the Ragged School in London. I don't know if you've heard of that one. It's an old Victorian school that was made for working class kids, basically. And that one you can do overnighters there. And then the other one is Calderton Hatch, the secret nuclear bunker. And that place during the day is terrifying.
That's in Essex, isn't it, that one? Because I fancy that. There we go. We've got our investigation sorted.
If let's get it booked.
Yeah, no, Cheryl as well has been talking about my co-host from Killers. She's also really wanted to do Calverton. So yeah, if you fancy meet up there.
I'd say it'd probably have to be, because they get booked up really quickly, it'd probably have to be a weekday, which they're quiet on, or a 2027. But have a chat with Cheryl and let us know when works, and we'll get it booked in, because we fancy that. That's amazing.
I would love it.
This is really scary. So
we'd have a right laugh. It'd be
and
great.
We love Cheryl as well. Funny fact: we actually had Kyron Thrax at our wedding.
Oh, fun!
Yeah, so
randomly,
literally, we got him to come and do our wedding, and then 3 months later, he won RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
they've just been on tour together, haven't they? So so that's
right. Well, that's noted in the brain, so we're doing that. I'm holding you to that.
Okay, all right, names on the list.
We'll get your True Hauntings t-shirt.
Oh yes, everybody wants a True Hauntings t-shirt.
It's got a little French bulldog on who's asleep.
Yeah,
Is
we can do it. I'm sure we've got some merch kicking around somewhere.
Yeah, do it.
Emma, do you want to ask some questions? I know you've got a few.
Yeah, so we were just talking about like general like paranormal activity, and you said like in a recently that you've like rented a house that was haunted. Can you tell us a bit more?
Yeah, so this is a little while ago now. And it was the first place that I had in London when I moved here. So, you know, we're talking 10 years ago now. But I moved in, and this house was such a steal of a deal. I couldn't turn it down. You know, it's the classic ghost story horror. It's like, oh, this house is amazing. It's, you know, it's cheaper, but it's perfectly fine. So here I am, gullible, brand new in London. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was this amazing 3-story house with a garden and everything. And you know, it wasn't in the centre of London, but you know, it was near enough to get in and out from. And so moved in with also a housemate who I didn't know. He was a friend of a friend, and I say a friend of a friend who met at like a flatmate dating event thing, and she ended up pulling out the deal, but she was like, oh, I got a mate, he'll do. I was like, okay. So we ended up moving into this place, and it was interesting from the get-go, because it was just, you know, it was an old Victorian house, and it was across 3 different floors, but everything was higgledy-piggledy, like nothing was, you know, everything was slightly on the wall. You couldn't put a picture on the wall without it being on. And it had a basement.
Yay!
Houses have a basement. And so, yeah, thought it was great because it had a washing machine and stuff as well. And going into the basement was terrifying, because there was the back of the basement just had like a hole in the wall, and then it was pitch black in the back of it. So if you're in there, it's like, oh, well, there's definitely something in there that's going to come out and eat me, isn't there? You know, I'm going to be in trouble. Luckily, the basement was not too scary, but it did have the boiler in there, and the boiler just used to make the most horrific noises. And so it was just so creepy and spooky. And then after that, we'd been there a couple of months, and then things sort of started to happen. And there'd been things leading up to this, but over a little while, I noticed that like cupboards were being left open, all like the bottom cupboards and stuff, and I didn't know if it was my cat. And so, yeah, all of that stuff, I was like, oh, well, he's weird. Or like, I come home and there'd be like food out on the sideboard. I obviously, you know, his housemate didn't know him, didn't know what he was up to. But he was fastidiously tidy, like way tidier than I am. And yeah, so I would come back and there'd be things left out, and I was like, well, this is weird. But it was never like opened food or anything like that. It was just like packets of food, just like left on the side. And then one night I was sitting there watching TV, and my cat was twittling around. R.I.P. no longer with us. And she was, you know, this is a long time ago. She died long ago. And so yeah, she was twittling around. She jumped up on one of the tables, just like a little side kind of table, and it started rocking from side to side, but then it started really rocking from side to side, and I was like, whoa, okay, this is a bit too much. So she jumped off, and then it continued going, and I was like, I'm just gonna, my thing with a lot of these things is just ignore it and pretend it's not happening, and it'll be fine. And so I was like, okay, well, it's time for bed now, so I'm gonna go.
Bye, see you in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. So I just, you know, left whatever it was to it. And then after that, kind of things started to amp up a little bit. So the noises got worse. That could have just been the boiler acting up and, you know, going a bit crazy. But you know, the temperatures would fluctuate in the house. My bedroom would be really cold, even though it was like the smallest room in the house. It was absolutely freezing. And then one night I was brushing my teeth in the bathroom. I turn round behind me and I see something all across the landing behind me. And we're talking, I would say, full body apparition, but this he was in half, so he was not a complete apparition, and I think that's because something awful had happened to him. So it was a little boy. He was kind of tinged sort of greenish blue, He was in very old kind of looked sort of almost as if it was like riding gear, so like a little jacket, and he had black hair, but he was wet, like he'd fallen into a lake or a puddle or something like that. And he crawled across the landing and he disappeared through the wall on the other side. And so I'm like, so I saw, you know, the first bit in the mirror behind me. And again, I know it sounds like a horror movie, but then I stopped brushing my teeth and I turned round, and then that was when I saw him crawl through the wall. So, you know, it's not as if I've seen it and it's been something out of the corner of my eye. It's when I've seen it, I've turned round and it's still there and it's still going. So I was like, okay, well, I think I've just seen one of the most horrific things I've ever seen in my life. Let's pretend that didn't happen. So I just continued doing what I was doing. And then I'm like, my room is the room that he crawled out of.
And that's probably why your room was cold. Because that was probably his room.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it didn't feel like he lived in the house. It didn't feel like he knew the house. It felt like he was confused there. And it also felt like he didn't acknowledge me. He didn't know I existed. You know, there was no crossover. There was no, you know, he wasn't trying to communicate with me. And I think whatever it is, something awful happened to the kid, and he was just caught on a time loop. And I think maybe occasionally he was popping into the house and just being confused and maybe looking for food, and that's why the packets of food were out on the sideboard. But it was never the top covers, it was always on the lower level. So that was the thing that made me think it must be him. Yeah. It must be him. And yeah, we stayed there for 6 months. The owners wanted us back, and I was not too worried about giving it back to them. I didn't tell anybody about it until the day that we left. And my boyfriend, who's now my husband, we left, and I literally like closed the door, got in the car, and I was like, let me tell you the ghost story. Because I just didn't want to mention it, because I didn't want to make it worse, and I didn't want to give energy to it. And I thought, as soon as I start giving energy to it, that's when it's going to amp up, and I don't want him to know that I exist. So that's the thing. And I thought, he's crawling around, he's doing his own thing, he doesn't know that we're there. So that's the thing that really freaked me out, was like, if I start actually acknowledging this, it's going to get bad.
That's pretty scary.
What happens if he realises that he's stuck and he can't leave? I was like, that's when things are going to get really bad. Yeah. So yeah, I just kind of left him. Left him to get on with it. So, but that was my ghost story. I've never had anything sort of as scary as that happen still. But you know, there's sort of been little bits here and there, and you know, I'm much like you, Laura. I kind of feel a bit like I'm a little bit of a skeptic around these things, even though I have seen things, because in my rational brain I think, well, maybe I'm just making it up, maybe I was really tired, but why did it go on for 4 months, you know? So
that's why we started as our own team, because we trust each other, and I think that's a huge thing. You've got to be with people that you know are going to tell the truth if something's happened. And when you go on some of these organised ones, it's great fun, but you've got 30, 40 people who you don't know, and you just think, why does that one person keep seeing things, and why does that one person keep getting touched? You know, so at least we know when one of the 4 of us says it, we've known each other a long time and we know it's real.
Yeah, nobody's making anything up.
And it did all start with a Hendo in Shrewsbury prison. So that's how not normal we are. It's like, who goes for a Hendo in a prison in Shrewsbury for the night?
And we slept in a cell.
Yeah,
I wouldn't blink an eye, but lots of people would.
It was really fun though. It was really fun.
Yeah, no, I've been to Bodmin since they've chartered that up and made that into a hotel, and that's good fun. But I've never done that overnight.
It's quite a distance, is that, isn't it, for us?
Yeah, but we do try and do like 2 or 3 ones that are far-ish away from us.
Yeah, if you were to do like a trip, there's several different places around there that you could do. You've got the Jamaica Inn as well, so yeah. Plenty of places you can do. I have stayed in the Jamaica Inn. That was fun. Didn't hear anything, see anything. Nothing happened.
Good night's sleep.
Really good night's sleep.
Yeah.
I did put the flashy the cat balls out though, and one did go off during the night, but I don't know if that's just one.
You never know.
Might have been something.
Somebody come to see you in the night.
You never know. You never know.
To be fair, compared to the red pod, the cat balls rarely go off. So it must have been something.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, no, I haven't got them out for a couple of years now. They've been sat in the drawer because I just haven't been anywhere that I've needed to use them. So yeah, the battery's probably dead now, so they probably won't go off.
Emma, have you got any more?
Yeah. So you said that you're kind of a skeptic, but you also believe. So when you're covering on like Macabre London, if you're like covering it like haunted, doing this haunted case, do you go into it with skepticism, or do you just believe everything that they say?
If there's, I did some ghost stories for Halloween this year, and I based them all trying to find out facts behind them. So I did, for example, the Ten Bells pub, which is the famous Jack the Ripper pub. But I went into it and I found all the extra bits behind it, and I found people recounting ghost stories from there, bar staff that worked, that kind of thing. And so I really like to find out kind of even if it's not necessarily the truth around it, the things that people have experienced themselves, I think is really important. So yeah, I kind of approach it looking for as much history as I can find, but then also if it's a case of being able to, also find a really good story, then I like that too. Because I trust people. If people have said that they've seen things, and it seems genuine, I'm going to trust that. So yeah, I think also having seen things myself and experienced things myself, I know that it sometimes sounds a bit batshit and a bit wacky, so I know that is the case sometimes. But yeah, so I approach it with my sensible hat on, but also my witchy blue hat on as well.
We love the history behind places as well, so that's the great thing about the investigating, because we learn a lot about the history of where we're going as well, so that's quite cool.
Yeah, which I never really used to be into until we started this.
No,
so do you do that in advance, or do you do that afterwards?
Usually we try and find out a little bit, like when it was built, if there's any previous sightings of like spirits, just to see if there's any point going, really. But we don't really look into names or anything that's happened until we leave. And sometimes we get stuff through that we think, wow.
Yeah.
The most crazy one was Keithley, where we got that guy's name.
Yeah.
And we Googled him.
Yeah, we Googled him, we found a picture of him, and we asked the guy who owned the place, and was like, yeah, that checks out. And we literally just got his name through dowsing rods.
Wow. But I didn't believe him when he said, yeah, that checked out. That's why I Googled it, and I was like, I've just found a picture of him. So that was. I
can't remember his name now.
Harry Graham. Harry Graham.
That's your young memory there, your young brain, Emma.
You say this, but I'm awful.
And you're not that young. Here we go again.
She looks 12, but she's actually nearly 30.
I'm still 2 birthdays off.
Yeah, your 20s is fine.
We're talking about I'm 1 birthday off 50, and Zoe's over 50, aren't you, Zoe? So
21.
Yes, you mentioned cat balls and stuff like that. So, and REM pods and bits and pieces and Estes and that. Is there anything that, if you were to go on an investigation, would be a favourite kind of thing to use?
I think I'd like to do Estes. I think I would. Yeah, I do find it fascinating. I think it's, again, I'm going to forget the names of them. Greg and Dana Newkirk. Do you know those two?
Who? Greg and?
Dana Newkirk. Do you know the Newkirks? They're in America. But they have a haunted museum in America. And they started doing the method a long time ago, and whenever they've done it, I'm like, oh, this is interesting, because they pick a particular haunted object that they have in their collection, and they do the Estes method with it. I can't remember the name of what their museum is now. Again, this is age and brain. Properly.
I know it feels, yeah.
They do these particular investigations where they'll do much like you're doing with a live, and they'll just there and they'll do Estes all night just to see what they can get from one particular object. But that's always sort of fascinated me, because sometimes you get these things coming out of it. I think sometimes as well with Estes, it's difficult to be influenced by like confirmation bias and stuff, because you don't have your senses there, so you're not hearing anything, you're not seeing anything, so there's nothing in front of you that you can link those things to. So that's the thing that I think throws up the most compelling evidence for me is definitely Estes, and that is something I would like to try.
Right, we'll be doing that. Yeah, we will.
What's interesting is if we do a double Estes, so you have two people under, because when it starts going together, that's really quite freaky.
Yeah.
I've seen that before, actually. I can't remember where I saw it, but there was, two people and they were sort of having a conversation, but they didn't know they were having a conversation.
Yeah. I mean,
Lauren Sal, I've got a question for you, actually. What do you think has been our best Estes?
I was just trying to think back, actually.
Best Estes, I have.
You could have warned us, Emma, with question.
Not the Priest Cottage on Friday, but the one before was quite good, because we had the priest twice, and then we had Leeds about 5 times, which is where we were. And Emma and Zoe were sat next to a Bible, and we had Get Away From My Book. That was quite an interesting one.
Which do you think, Emma, quickly then? Because I think...
No, I was just trying to think. That's why I was asking you, because I always forget everything that's happened when I leave.
Oh, hang on. Somebody's mentioned in the comments about the unbinding. Is that what I'm talking about? Is that...
Somebody's
Paranormal Boy, you're in the chat. Yes, synchronicities. And, that kind of thing. So is that what I'm talking about? Is it that particular, is the particular item that they're trying to get information out of, and it is a documentary? I think it might be called The Unbinding.
Right.
Because there was just saying in there, Greg and whoever you mentioned in America, Joy's on.
Yeah.
And is it a son? Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently he's just spoken to him or something. But the chat's...
What's museum?
They put that up there a bit.
Yeah, they did. Can you find
the Haunted Objects Museum of the Paranormal?
There you go.
Yeah. They were just saying
documentaries about things. They've got one series which is, I think it's actually 2 series now, all about goblins. That they were trying to find these goblins living in a mine, which sounds interesting, but it goes off in a really different direction that you don't expect. So, and I think all of it's on Amazon. Hell yeah, that's it. Yeah.
There you go. We'll have to have a look at that.
Yeah.
We'll have to have a look. We're always looking for new things to watch.
Here we are. We've run out.
I can't remember the names of them.
I have my answer. I have my answer. So I don't know why, but I just remembered Mum was last at the Priest Cottage when we told them to ask Zoe to take her headphones off, and she did.
That was weird. Yeah, like within a second.
It was like, can you tell Zoe to take the headphones off? And she literally took them off a second after and was like, nah, there's no way.
We were both there going, no way, no way. That was, weird.
I like capturing voices on EVP.
Yeah.
They're good ones.
Yeah, we've had some good ones.
But yeah. We'll get you and Cheryl on double Estes.
There you go.
Yeah, that would be so fun. That would be so fun. Thing is, though, at this point.
You girls
just
remember
that
the
away
Burning
anyway
Man?
without being able to hear each other or see each other.
Yeah.
We'd put you through your paces.
Now.
What did you say, Zoe?
I know.
So always saying something.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Very
Kind
much.
of.
The Burning Man.
Oh, in Stockport.
That was
Yeah,
a
so
freak
Joy,
one.
who's on Paranormal Joy, is our psychic medium, and she comes on a lot of our investigations through TikTok, and she picks up on a lot of things. And she said there's a burnt man trying to touch Zoe, and I was like, oh, okay. Didn't really think anything of it until I started reviewing the footage, and you hear a voice, and then you hear, I think it was Emma read out, Joy said there's a burnt man trying to touch Zoe. And when I listen back to the voice, it actually goes, I'm touching her. And it is creepy as anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, after this, I'll log on as True Hauntings and send you that particular post.
It is creepy.
It's so creepy.
I want to listen to it at this time of night.
Yeah, maybe say
Might be a big morning.
So I'm really interested in, how did you meet Cheryl and come up with Killers, Cults and Queens? Because like drag and comedy and the macabre, putting the two together it's quite genius, really.
Yeah, so it was we were put together as strangers, so we didn't know each other. It was a production company known as Audio Boom. They approached they were looking for a local spooky specialist, and my name came up in some discussions, which I was really thankful for. I'd been on a couple of other shows for some producers, just talking about spooky things. And one of them ended up being a producer at Audio Boom, so they put my name into the hat, which is great. And then they were looking for somebody to do this series alongside Cheryl. And so they kind of ran through a couple of different queens, I think, and they settled on Cheryl because she's, so magnetic and so fantastic and so funny and just, really quick in her delivery. And so they set up meetings with both of us kind of individually to see if we'd be interested in the project. And then we had another, we were just coming out of COVID time then. And so we had a couple of online meetings and things, and Audio Boom were like, oh yeah, no, I think we've got chemistry, let's run a pilot. So we went and did the pilot. And for the pilot, we did the Love Has Won cult. I don't know if you've listened to that one.
I've not.
Absolutely crazy.
Right. Good one.
It's our pilot episode, but I don't think we ended up putting it out until at the end of series 1 as our Christmas special. Because it was our first ever one, so it is a pilot, but it is what landed us the series. So that's kind of what we have to remember from it. And then literally just sort of we met to do the pilot. We haven't met before that apart from online. And we just got into a studio and we just clicked straight away. We just got each other's beats straight away. Because that's the thing when it comes to sort of doing a two-hander, is that you've got to get each other's beats. It's got to be, you've got to work in tandem. And so series 1, I ended up doing all of the storytelling on that, just because it was an easier way to do things. And, Cheryl was very new to this stuff. She's not into true crime, you can watch a horror movie, but it's not a favourite thing. And that has changed. Now she knows some of the most horrific things in the world.
Some of the things she takes to spooky sleepover is insane.
Yeah. So it does do that. She's just the light in the dark, which is what we like about her. But yeah, that's how we ended up being put together, really.
I bet you just have such a laugh, the two of you. You can tell you've got a really good relationship. The last one I was listening to was actually yesterday on my way home from work, was Neil the Seal. That was brilliant.
Oh, yes, you were telling me about that in bed last night.
Neil the Seal.
Yeah.
I love Neil the Seal. Yeah, causing chaos. Yeah, I just love the fact that he had to be, in the end, they had to drug him and take him somewhere else where he couldn't work out how to get back to where he was.
I love the bit where people were calling up saying
much safer now. But yeah, apparently he does still turn up occasionally, but it's in a town where nobody really knows where he is now, and it's a lot quieter.
I love the bit where people were ringing up and saying, I can't come to work because he's blocked my car in.
And the people just know Neil there, so they're like, yeah, fine. completely. That's a perfectly good reason for not coming to work today.
It reminded me a bit of the goats in Llandudno in Wales. I don't know if you heard about them.
No.
So when COVID hit and there was nobody about, they came down off the mountains and they were like hanging out in Aldi car park and going up people's roads and just chewing their plants and all sorts. And they've now kind of moved into Llandudno. So if you go down to the seaside,
they are in the supermarket car parks, aren't they?
Yeah, they're everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. But yeah, fab.
Yeah. So come on, keep us questions.
Come on.
Anyway, what new is coming up for you all?
So
what exciting
just
stuff?
recording season 5 at the moment of Killers, Shots and Queens. So that will be coming out. I'll give you a little exclusive, shall I? That'll be
Exclusive
for April is when we will be launching. We will be coming back. So that will be a 2-parter launching on the 6th of April, and you get both episodes that day. So we're treating you well for the first one. Make sure you listen to them both on the first day because it makes us shoot up the charts. So that's what we need.
It's my bus journey into work. Literally every single bus journey, it's either you, Killers, Cuts and Queens, or one called You're Dead to Me, which is a historian one.
Yeah, with Greg. Yeah.
The horrible histories guy.
Yeah.
Put it in your diaries for 6th of April then.
There you go.
Yeah. Put it in your diary. Told anybody else yet? I don't know if Cheryl will be annoyed at me, but it's coming soon. So yeah, and then throughout the whole of this year as well, I'm doing my Belief in the Occult in the Capital City series on Macabre London. So I'm literally covering how we came to have the beliefs that we do today in terms of things like religion, and I've started all the way back from like literally the tiny little mud huts that people used to live in, and people throwing skulls into the River Thames because, you know, they thought there was goddesses living in the River Thames, and the Romans invading and then bringing a lot of gods with them, and having a secret cult in the middle of London as well. They had this sort of secret cult that was they only discovered when they were digging up. Well, it was after the war actually, when loads of bombing happened, and they discovered the ruins of the secret temple, which was completely unknown. Nobody knew it was there. And that turned out to be a little cult that was dedicated to men and them hanging out all together. So you can sort of imagine some things that are happening there. And so, yeah, it's interesting to find out how these things sort of all came to kind of influence our belief system today. But then once I've kind of got into sort of the standard stuff, we're then going into the doom and gloom. So just about to pick up with Christianity. So that's where the doom and gloom starts coming. Because you're getting all of the demon side of things, the hell side of things, and all of that suddenly starts with here. And then it's going to go all the way up to the modern day. So I actually do some witches that are currently working in Hackney, and people that are still making a living off of witchcraft, because remember, that's kind of how it started. It was a job, and people sort of went to these people because they were pharmacists or they looked after you, that kind of thing. And then it started to get demonized when Christianity came along. So before that, it was all just accepted as a way of life. So it's interesting to see how different beliefs and religions fought against each other for times. And but a lot of the time, they are very, very similar to each other. So it's a lot of melding of the beliefs and things. So, you know, the Anglo-Saxons and the Romans all basically believed the same thing, but they just wore different outfits. So it's really interesting stuff. So that's pretty much what I'm doing over the whole of this year. It will go into things like seances, Victorian mediums. I'm doing a whole episode, maybe a couple of episodes on the Society for Psychical Research and how they were formed. So it's all happening.
How do you research all this?
Huh?
I said, how do you research all this? Is it library, online?
Just a lot of late nights staring at my laptop. It's basically the thing. And it tends to start with, sort of a few threads here and there. And then I just, primary sources are great for me. So if I can find somebody that, has links to the Society for Psychiatry Research, that kind of thing. There is a very good link that I have in Stephen Bolt, who wrote Ghost Watch.
Yes.
Yeah, we did an interview with Stephen Bolt, who wrote Ghost Watch.
Wow.
And he was also a member of the Society of Psychiatry Research, and that's not my story to tell. So
So you're not going to.
So I won't be telling that story. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that kind of come out of that side of things. So yeah, all of that stuff, I just sort of end up researching it just usually through threads of things, and then they turn into these full-blown stories. But I like to have names. I like to have people that we can follow through their story, really. So yeah.
Busy lady.
I know.
You better schedule some time for this meet-up. We'll come down and...
It's a cider bottle.
That's been funny, to be fair.
I know, for what we
you need to schedule some time and we'll come down to you.
Yeah,
there's banks and... which
the nuclear bunker.
Is that
nuclear bunker?
Is that the favourite spot?
Well, I've wanted to do that for ages.
Yeah. For shares, it definitely will be because pretty close.
Well, I think we'll try and get that in it. Well, we'll start communications with her.
Yes, we'll start communications
because I'd really love it. I think it'd be a great thing to do.
Right laugh.
Yeah,
really fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, seriously, everybody, go and listen to Nikki's podcasts. You can get them on Spotify or YouTube. We'll watch
also, the podcast app on the iPhone as well.
I'm going to listen to Neil the Seal.
Yeah,
honestly, you've got to. It was brilliant. I was laughing my head off.
That's my next one. Yeah,
it was so funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not going to keep you much longer because we really appreciate you spending an hour with us. But we always play a little game at the end called Guess the Object.
Okay.
So
it'll only take a minute.
I know.
Did you not get an object?
I'm going to guess an object right now. So we'll put us back on. We'll all do a little object and then. Okay, so.
I won last week because no one got mine.
This is quite an easy one. Quite an easy one, this, everybody.
Guess the object.
Steady.
Wait for it to come in.
Whoa.
A doorstop.
Nope.
Chopping board.
Nope.
Is it wooden?
A photo frame.
Emma, you're not allowed. Wait, just get my favourite one.
Which one?
I've got a favourite picture here.
Which one? There's two.
I've got gays and bisexuals. And then my other favourite is loads of sheep in underwear.
Of course.
Sheep show.
That is my
nice.
my sense of humour is that. Anyway,
Emma,
put Nikki back up and then we better let everybody go.
Nikki,
I
do you
have one
to do? Oh, Emma's got one. Here we go. Very
right,
quickly.
do you, Emma?
Okay, so guess the object.
It's a cup.
No.
Is everyone guessing in the chat as well? Coaster?
You always have random ones, Emma.
AirPod thingy.
It moves.
Oh, is it one thing that you pull the cord and it does that?
Air freshener.
Is it a cable tie?
Toy. Is it for your earphones? Oh,
No.
perfect.
Tape measure. Yay!
It's a cat tape measure.
Got it
And
right.
you pull its ear and you can measure your knitting.
Measure
You can
your
get a free T-shirt now, Nikki.
Shall I do one? You ready for mine? You ready for mine? Can you see?
Right. Wait a minute. Let's put
Right.
you bigger. Put you bigger.
Right, here we go.
We're in.
What is that?
That's wooden, isn't it?
It looks like stitching.
Is it a hat?
Oh no, it ain't. Oh, that.
Oh, cushion.
Still coming.
What is it? Fox. A squirrel. I've no idea.
That has got to
It's
be
a
one of the most.
It's a gizmo. You're actually pretty good at that, Nikki, I have
Very
to say.
good. Very good.
I think you've been,
Joy got it.
I think you've been
and Trev.
practicing.
I know. Practicing what she didn't know was coming.
Practicing what you didn't know were coming, yeah. Bless you.
Right.
Nikki, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah,
Genuinely.
For having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
We
Yeah.
could literally talk to you all night, but
Yeah.
we won't
We'll do
keep
that.
you to it.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll certainly get that, but I'm keen on doing that. So yeah, I know you're busy, but we'll communicate.
That'll be brilliant.
Yeah. Have a
Right.
lovely evening, won't you? Thanks, Nikki. Really appreciate it,
Thanks
honestly.
ever so much. You all take care. Thanks for having me.
See you later.
Bye. Bye, everybody else. Well.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.